Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome back to Shelf Stories, channel that tells tales from games, books, and life. I am your host, Jason. Thank you so much for stopping by for Thinking Out Loud, where I pop on the camera and put some thoughts out in the air, and I invite folks to discuss and criticize and go back and forth with me in my comment section. So this one is based on a conversation that was in one of the Facebook groups for gaming. And I'm not sure which one. I apologize for not giving proper credit, but there's some good Facebook groups out there for gaming. Anyway, so this particular one focused on whether it was okay to rate a game on BGG before you have played it. This person had pointed out Frosthaven. Let me go ahead and punch up Frosthaven right here. So Frosthaven not released. 603 ratings, 311 of which are rating 10, and one rating is at 159 or so. And the game's not out yet. It's probably stuck in Singapore somewhere, if it's even done. I haven't talked to Isaac in a while. Hope that the project is coming along. The point is, 600 people have not played this game, and they've rated it anyway. So, the person was, kind of articulating a pet peeve. And, for a couple of reasons, and I'll try to trace them out. Number one, on the face of it, it just doesn't make sense. So, what is a rating? A rating is an evaluation, about what the game's about, why you're evaluating a game if you don't have the full picture yet, especially playing it, which is, it's a game, the most important thing. So, on the face of it, it seems kind of silly. So then you get into the social aspect of it, and especially for the consumer. A lot of times people approach gaming from the mindset of a consumer, look at, let's say I'm a consumer going to BGG and looking for my latest, greatest game, looking at the ratings, and you see, oh, wow, game got a bunch of 10 ratings, it's brand new, let me go pick it up, and it's a dog, a lemon. And it turns out that a bunch of hyper fans rated it 10 without actually playing it, and you got hoodwinked and bamboozled. The thing that consumers, especially gamers, can't stand the most is being the thought of being bamboozled and given wrong information about your hard-earned money. Same thing goes on the other side. So let's say you like a game. You like the creator, and you see that a community has been stirred up and is giving it a bunch of ones. Pow, 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 pow. Hitting the one button. For some nonsense reason. They are a crew of people who don't like apps in games. That that one draws a lot of people. Or they're, talk about the publisher. They don't like something that happened on a Kickstarter project or whatever else it is. I've had a couple friends fall victim to that. Then, the game itself gets caught in the crossfire. And maybe you like the game. Maybe you wanted expansions for a game. Maybe you want a positive community and be able to talk about it. But then you wade in and, you trigger all these other things, negative things. So that's not good either. Rating things 10 and 1, especially that particular practice this person was remarking about. And finally, you go on BGG itself. The actual rating system. Like, I go to this page and I click, and the rubric that BGG uses in order to grade games is, based on having played the darn things. It says so, like, as your guide. Okay, rate it 6 if you felt this way. Rate it 4, rate it 7, rate it 10, if you felt whatever, about having played the game. So there's a lot pointing in that direction. Or it's not okay. This is not okay. Even though BGG lets you do it, it's you should think twice before you sit down and rate a game before you play it. So that's the case against. Let me go on the complete opposite side, which is how I happen to feel about it. I am perfectly fine. Rate for whatever reason you want. I'm so glad that BGG keeps it nice and wide open. Don't even ask you the question, did you play this game? Just sit down, you rate it, and whatever. I am fine with whatever comes out, irrational or no. So why am I so fine with it? I talked a bit about the consumer, or otherwise serious gamer, or whatever it is. Someone who wants real information about the gameplay from logging on BGG and getting the rating. And I just don't think that is the center of the hobby. I think that's a little bit of a gatekeepery kind of sense there. That this is who the rating should be for, because that's the center of the hobby. And I talk a lot about the fact that I want to broaden the hobby. And in this particular case, I think the people that bother sitting down on a website dedicated to the game, which is already self-selecting, and bothering rating a game, maybe a lot of people don't even know they can. So that's also self-selecting. So we're already kind of at levels of self-selecting. And we're going to do it further. We're going to narrow that field further to only people who have a certain experience. And no, I mean, I think that I'd rather approach it from a paradigm of a fan. The BGG is a site for fans. And I hate to break it to people who want the things to make sense, but fan is short for fanatic. And a fanatic will get carried away. Will, vote and speak and, buy and sell and play and all this stuff based on emotion and first judgments and all these things. So, and I feel like we take the good with the bad. I mean, we're a hobby of hype and, all this other stuff. You get the other side as well. You get the irrational side and you get people's emotions, good and bad and indifferent. So, I think, I guess, encourage people to not completely fly off the rails and, a series of 1 ratings can be damaging or whatever it is. But, maybe, there's a little bit of education out there. But is it wrong for people to fly off the handle? No. The actual act isn't wrong itself. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine with letting a fan, defining fan as a center experience, not so much the consumer, and letting the fan rate away. And, so I'm a psychotherapist, and I deal with emotions a lot. In fact, that's my specialization, is mood and emotions. And, when I work with emotions, a client or a person or whatever, I don't discount anything. Every emotion is valid on some level. Every emotion says something. And in the case of a board game and rating a board game and, evaluating our feelings about a board game from moment to moment, all our feelings matter. Everything about the experience of board game can trigger a feeling. The box art, the box cover. I get a game, I open the box and, or I open the brown box and I lift my thing up and it's like, oh my God. It's a big bundle of potential. It makes me happy. Put it on my shelf. And even if I haven't played it, it's on my shelf of opportunity. I go downstairs and I see it. It makes me happy. So maybe I'm rating based on that. I mean, I don't rate that stuff, but that's not how I use ratings, but I'm not going to talk junk about people who do. Or, maybe there's that extra stuff, the community around the game. You go to that particular sub-forum, or you go to their website, or you interact with their fans. What are their fans like? What is the creator like? Do I trust or distrust the creator? That's all valid to me. Good or bad. If I actually don't, as much as I may look at a string of 1 ratings, that's like I just, judge all app-based games, just as an example. And I personally don't engage in that. Well, I mean, I'm glad that people or the BGG forum has, created a ability to render that visible, so I know what's out there. I wouldn't know otherwise what is out there. So I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. I'll think of it like food. You can eat the food. That's a big part of eating. But ask any chef. First thing that a person does is eat with their eyes. What it looks like. Eats with their noses. What it smells like. What's the ambiance of the restaurant? What's the quality of the service? What's the hype and all that stuff. We eat with our minds, and our minds get all sorts of inputs, and we're primed in certain ways before we even take the first bite. And a game is no different. So, knowing that a game, promotes this response, it promotes a level of response, it factors into my enjoyment of it, or whether I'm going to like it or not. And I don't take every judgment, uncritically. I take it critically. I mean, I think that, it's inconvenient for people who don't want to take it, who don't want to think about this stuff, who want to trust the quote unquote rating in front of their face. Life is a little bit more complicated than that. So that's, to me, BG ratings fall right into that category. And I think at the end of the day, getting back to my very first point about the rating being an evaluation, well, is it a judgment or is it a statement of someone's feeling at the time? The fact that you can change it so easily. I've changed ratings on games tens of times, 20s of times, depending on how up and down I am on, subsequent plays. There is no final judgment. This isn't like a grade on a test, where there's something at stake. There's very little at stake besides an expression of feelings, and BGG is telling you that by allowing you to change it. Had they kind of, okay, are you sure? And then you lock it in for all time, then that'd be one thing. And I know a lot of people don't bother changing it because maybe they don't go back or whatever it is, but they can. And I'm fine with, kind of leaving it there. Here I am. I'm back. One last thought. Spirit of the Stay Away style. Thought of something as I was editing the video so I can fire up and add this one right in the end. So, what do we do with all these ratings, irrational or no? I think that the model of crowdsourcing, ultimately something good will emerge if you get enough voices together doing a thing. So, people like my analogies. I got one more for you. So then, it's almost like being at a concert or a sporting arena or something like that, and you get the crowd to sing. If you stand next to an individual person, they're probably going to really stink. Most people stink at singing. It's just the fact of life. Can't hold the tune, or very flat, or whatever it is. But first of all, I like being around enthusiastic people, so it doesn't matter. And even though you're a bad singer, you're a good singer because you got enthusiasm on an individual level. But then you get all those voices together, and there's this kind of lift up that happens. The common chorus kind of sounds pretty good. And, I look at the BGG ratings, like to take it as a whole. Try not to overreact to the individual little picture. Look at the big picture. What emerges? What are some of the top rated games? Gloomhaven, Pandemic Legacy, Arkham Horror Card Game, and Terraforming Mars, and Guy Project. And, you look at my ratings. They are all excellent games to me. And they lean heavy because the BGG crowd leans heavy. I encourage multiple modes of voting on these things. But at the end of the day, is that bad? I think BGG does enough to kind of weight the system and make sure that there's a signal that emerges from the noise. And so just for a lot of reasons, I think it's just fine to let people rate away, and let's not get too twisted up about this stuff and wanting to enforce one thing. This is for the serious gamer. This is for, think of the consumer and all that kind of stuff. Think of the fans. It's fun to sit down and just follow our feelings. If that's what we're all about, being a joyful hobby, I think that we should find ways to do that as much as we can. So I have a perspective, clearly, but there are many, many different perspectives on this one. This is kind of a low stakes argument. I just felt like this was interesting. So I hope that, nice, casual conversation amongst people who agree and disagree. I'm looking forward to that in the comments below. If you can change your mind, you can change the world, people. So until next time, bye, everybody.